What we are seeing unfold in this country is, I would say, diabolical. There's really no other way to describe it. The guy we're looking at today is this guy here, Wajhat Ali. Now, this is in fact a situation where he was joining another podcast called The Joyride Show. But already the title, I mean, how mediocre white men and their fragility is destroying America, featuring, well, okay. I don't even want to watch this. I'm not going to watch this. I refuse to watch this nonsense. But do think this. If you live in a society where you can say this, get your views monetized, no problem, and everyone is cheering on your side, but then you swap white for any other race or any other ethnicity in here, and immediately the video gets demonetized, blocked, and they threaten to send the police on you, and you get cancelled. That very double standard is a symptom of a diabolical society. He went on a rant. Well, we're going to check it out. I see Michael Knowles reacted to it, so let's see what he says as well, so I can comment his commentary too. Let's go.
Wajhat Ali, responding to Americans who are rightly quite concerned that the people that we import into this country from foreign places keep murdering us. Here's Wajhat Ali's brilliant liberal commentary.
You have lost. You lost. The mistake that you made is you let us in the first place. See, that's the thing with brown people. And I'm going to say this as a brown person. There's a lot of us. Like a lot. There's like 1.2 billion in India. There's more than 200 million in Pakistan. There's like 170 million in Bangladesh. And those are just the people there. I'm even talking about the folks who are expats or immigrants. There's a bunch of us. And we breed. We're a breeding people. And the problem is you let us in 1965. There were a few of us beforehand. But once you let one of us in, you know what happens with brown folks? Our grandmother comes, our grandfather comes, our uncle comes, our aunt comes, our cousin comes, our second cousin comes, our third cousin comes. Then we have kids, a bunch of kids. And then guess what? Some white women, the Western civilization women, the pure women, the American women, quote unquote, the Rust Belt women, the real women, they like some of us brown folks. We don't take them. They come to us. So we're embedded. We are everywhere. We are everywhere. I've traveled this country. I'm going to speak as a brown person. Brown people are everywhere. There will be a Patel motel or there will be a Desi restaurant everywhere. I want you to realize this. You have lost. Your story is a shitty story filled with misery. It's filled with bland chicken. It's filled with terrible, terrible dry-ass meat. Your music sucks. All your culture sucks. Nobody, that's why the kids listen to black people and their music. That's why the kids love Latinos. Your parties suck because they're monochromatic. Our parties have better food, better music, better looking women.
And yet you all come here. I can't help but notice in this terribly vicious diatribe by Wajhat Ali against white people and America, the kind of founding stock of America generally, I can't help but notice in this vicious about why he hates every single thing about us and our country and our culture. I can't help but notice his parents came here. And in fact, his whole argument is that all these other people are coming here as well.
What an absolute clown. We're going to continue, of course, but someone like this, where are we now? 2 minutes 9. Someone like this, not only is a clown, but he's a traitor to his own people. This is what you are. Ali, you're a traitor to your own people. Because this kind of content, sure, it's rage bait. I'm sure he makes him money, so he'll be financially rewarded for it at the expense of the safety of your own people. Because this kind of threats, because this is a threat, by the way, these kind of threats and this kind of racist anti-white sentiment is so evil and disparaging that creates racists. People like him are the reason why racists are created in the first place, not right-wing propaganda, not even far-right propaganda. This creates racism against brown people or black people when they do it on the other side, when they do it on the black end community. Now, not only that, but what he's also saying is that basically saying everything the far right has been saying is real. That's what he's doing. He's literally supporting white replacement theory 100%. He's saying, yeah, it's happening. He's saying it's a mistake to let immigrants who are brown in on the basis of their ethnic makeup. It was a mistake, he's saying. So we should have never done it. We should have kept the stock pure. That's what he's saying. It's unbelievable. Also, he's attacking everything that has to do with white people, clearly showing so much hatred and intolerance towards America, the culture, the food, the way people look, everything about white people and America. And then you are surprised people become racist as a defense. So maybe if you're brown and you're decent, you should attack him. You should make videos responding to this, reacting to this, because when I react and when Michael Knowles react, of course people are going to call us racists because, oh, you're racist because you're whatever. Okay, fine. You should do it as a brown person watching this. You should make a video if you have a platform. You should make a video. You should post on Facebook. You should post on Twitter and say, this guy is a traitor of our race because you're generating hatred towards us, because you're creating threat towards a group, and the group will try to defend themselves from your threat that you have just pushed. You're pushing intolerance and hatred, and as a good brown person, you should say, hey, I don't feel like that about America. I love America. I'm happy to be here. I did everything right to come here through the legal channel. I'm hardworking. I have my whatever the heck. He's mentioning Patel restaurants, and you could say, hey, that's my surname. I'm working hard. I'm grateful for my customers, and I'm grateful for this country that allowed me to enrich myself and provide a future for my family. I have zero problems with white people. This guy does not speak for me. You have to do this. Whether you be brown or you be black or you be Latino, you have all been called into this weird sphere that this guy has and fetish to justify his anti-white racism. And you, as a brown person, should stand up for yourself against the likes of that.
People are coming here as well. Wajhat Ali is a perfect example of the problems of immigration. I love this diatribe.
See?
It's a beautiful diatribe because on the one hand, Wajhat Ali, he does this, I'm a brown person and my parents are from Pakistan and I'm a brown, okay. But on the one hand, in many ways, Wajhat Ali is the perfect American lib, par excellence. This is a guy who was born here. He was born in California. He graduated from UC Berkeley. He bloviates in a bunch of frivolous left-wing outlets. He dresses like a slob. He is a perfectly assimilated American lib. And yet, he expresses a deep hostility toward the native population of the country to which his parents fled from Pakistan. Go to everydaydose.com/Knowles. You know, it's a busy time of year, and we're all busy people at your local Target. And it's not just a hostility in the general sense. It's a deeply tribal hostility.
Yes, racial.
It's a hostility that comes from his race and his nation of origin.
Yep.
You know, homeland, I guess, a generation back, and culture. And what this suggests to me is that even in the best of circumstances, heritage is a part of identity that is enduring, that is complex, that is enduring, and that cannot simply be waved away by passing a multiple choice civics exam. We have this fiction. As he even grants, he says, look, all of this mass migration, it started in 1965. I know we all pretend like America's a country of immigrants and it was all founded by immigrants. And it was all just immigrants all the way down. But that's not really true. It really just started in 1965 when the liberals opened up our immigration process and flooded the country with the third world. And everything's basically gotten worse ever since. But
the thing when it comes to that is also, I find it fascinating how the same people who say that his immigrants helped building America now admit that they weren't here when America was being built or when Americans fought against the British Crown for independence. Which one is it?
But it's not only because of the immigrants, but it's both a symptomatic cause of many problems. And but anyway, here we are now, and that's how it goes. Even under the best of circumstances, where you have a guy like Wajhat Ali, who is as assimilated to American liberal culture as it is possible to be, went to one of the exemplars of American liberal institutions, and even there, he has this deep tribal identity. Me Pakistani, me hate you, white honky American. Like that's basically, that sounds like a complete knuckle-dragging troglodyte, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the problem is, to me, that's where I will disagree a little bit here, Michael. The thing is that I hate white Americans is an American thing, and it does absolutely come from the progressive left. Personally, I don't know. I don't know if that comes from India or Pakistan, to be honest. Because every Indian I've ever met never hated any white person, and yet the one Indian that is actually, he's from California. That hatred comes from being Californian. That's what I think. You tell me if you disagree, but
with a kind of liberal twist to it.
Yeah. Strong.
And what does this tell us? It tells us that the ancients and the medievals and basically everyone before the 1960s was right about immigration. Our founding fathers, who severely restricted immigration, everyone was right about immigration until us.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, you see. Like, even if you completely disagree with everything Michael Knowles is saying, at this point, it doesn't matter because the guy made his argument. Literally, he fueled Michael Knowles' argument. So if you have a problem with anything Michael is saying, and I think we probably think very similarly when it comes to the concept of immigration, particularly when it comes to illegal immigration, I imagine we think the exact same. I don't know Michael Knowles' stance when it comes to legal immigration, and we'll have to discuss that. Of course, a certain level of restriction is necessary. It's not like legal immigration means let everyone in. No, legal means there is a channel, there are forms, and there have to be reasons as to why people are allowed to live here who are not from here. And by the way, that's not a right-wing thing. That's a global thing. There isn't a single country on this planet that doesn't have specific, like, you've got to show, right, you've got a passport, great, why do you want to live here? Otherwise 3 months out. That's how it works in every country, east, west, liberals, republican, conservative, whatever the heck you want. It doesn't matter, they all have this. For some reasons it's just the West where everyone expects now free flow of people, but whatever. I don't know his stance on legal immigration and whether or not we would make it similar levels of strictness. I don't know that. But when it comes to illegal immigration, I'm sure we agree. But even if you disagree with both of us, you know who made our arguments for us? Ali.
St. Thomas Aquinas in particular comes to mind. I'll just get just a little bit from saying, it wouldn't be an episode of the show without a little Thomas Aquinas. This is from Summa Theologiae Prima Secundae, question 105,
That's
article
the Catholic.
3. Man's relations with foreigners are twofold, peaceful and hostile, and in directing both kinds of relation, the law contained suitable precepts. For the Jews were offered 3 opportunities of peaceful relations with foreigners. First, when foreigners passed through their lands as travelers. Secondly, when they came to dwell in their land as newcomers. And in both these respects, the law made kind provision in its precepts, for it is written, thou shalt not molest a stranger, and again, thou shalt not molest a stranger. Exodus 22:21 and Exodus 22:9. So that's the one we always hear. Well, you were strangers in the land of Egypt, and therefore you...
That means legal, by the way. I know the passage very well. It's specifically, in fact, I'm glad he used the translation that says stranger rather than foreigner, because that's a closer, whatever, it doesn't matter. In a lot of those cases, it means someone who is either legally living in the land of Israel, and so you should not use their foreign status against them. That's what the biblical passage says. Or it's someone who was a refugee, but a real refugee, not someone who comes in as a refugee. Definitely that passage is not to be used when it comes to illegals, and even more so when it comes to foreigners who come here and don't behave, or foreigners that grape people. No, that's not what that verse is about. So people, as usual, don't know the context of the verses, and they just use it to be like, see, free flow of people, not what he's saying.
Must not, this is all obviously true, it's from the Bible,
Yeah.
but it's taken and twisted and exploited
Absolutely.
by liberals
Yeah.
to justify open borders. Okay,
Yep.
St. Thomas Aquinas goes on. Thirdly, when any foreigners wish to be admitted entirely to their fellowship, speaking of the Jews, and mode of worship, with regard to these, a certain order was observed, for they were not at once admitted to citizenship, just as it was law with some nations that no one was deemed a citizen except after 2 or 3 generations, as the philosopher Aristotle says. The reason for this was that if foreigners were allowed to meddle with the affairs of a nation as soon as they settled down in its midst, many dangers might occur, since the foreigners not yet having the common good firmly at heart might attempt something hurtful to the people. So put a pause here. St. Thomas Aquinas is saying, look, here is how the Jews handled immigration in the Old Testament, because the Old Testament prefigures Christ. The Jews as a people are a particular people that is the type of all nations, because God, who is the God of everything, is a God who also cares very much about the particulars, so much so that his only begotten son, is particularly incarnate in a particular place and a particular time to a particular woman, and is crucified by a particular governor, Pontius Pilate, and it's all particular. He picks particular apostles and particular
God of order, absolutely.
particular church he founds in order to spread from the particular to the universal. Go to AveMariaFunds.com.
Wow, Ave Maria Funds.com.
Fund Distributors, LLC. So St. Thomas Aquinas says, okay, the Jews, being a particular people who are the type of all nations, they didn't just like open up all their borders.
Of course.
They
Who does?
would sometimes admit people. It's not that immigration and assimilation is always wrong. Look at Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite who was brought in and said, your people will be my people and your God will be my God. She was brought in to the Jews, and she's in actually the lineage of our Lord, of Christ. However, the Jews were pretty careful about it. So he says, okay, and then he doesn't just cite the Jews in the Old Testament. He also cites Aristotle, wisdom also from Greece. And he says, you don't make them citizens all at once because it takes some time. It's not that you say, all right, you have to have a certain amount of a certain kind of blood in you or else you're not allowed into the nation. It's not quite that. It says you need a little bit of time. You can't just come here and, as we pretend today, pass a civics exam, like a 5-question civics test, and then we pretend you're as American as apple pie. That's not.
He's absolutely right. And by the way, notice how he's not making it racial. And I'm supposed to believe that he's the racist instead of the guy who is actually hating on white people because of immutable characteristics and genetic makeup and ethnic phenotypic traits. Come on. This is excellently presented. Very well done, Michael Knowles. Very well done.
How it works. That is not how it works. Final point.
Please.
It says, hence it was that the law prescribed in the respect of certain nations that had close relations with the Jews, the Egyptians among whom they were born and educated, the Idumeans, the children of Esau, Jacob's brother, that they should be admitted to the fellowship of the people after the third generation, whereas others with whom their relations had been hostile, such as Ammonites and Moabites, were never to be admitted to citizenship, while the Amalekites, who were yet more hostile to them and had no fellowship of kindred with them, were to be held as foes in perpetuity, for it is written, the war of the Lord shall be against Amalek from generation to generation. Wow. Man, Thomas Aquinas, as always, just like right about everything.
Yep.
He says, it's not that you...
I mean, I don't know as always, but in this case, absolutely.
Should never take immigrants in. But when you take immigrants in, you should do so very, very carefully. And you probably shouldn't grant them citizenship right away. You should wait. Maybe a generation, maybe 2 generations, maybe 3 generations, because it takes a while to be...
I'm not sure about waiting 3 generations for citizenship. In fact, I will disagree with that because I am applying for... I've already applied for citizenship, and I'm grateful that I can do it right now. But I think anyone could know that I respect American culture. I love America. I'm grateful. My wife is American. So all of this, I think, I would say it depends. I wouldn't wait 3 generations for it, but I would definitely weigh exactly what's going on. So anyways, very good point by Michael Knowles. I appreciated the video. I'll put a link in the description, and as usual, after you watch this, who's the racist? Based on empirical data, who's the racist? Thank you for watching.